This is Marli Siu from Anna and the Apocalypse, and you're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Sarah Swire, Steph of Anna and the Apocalypse. Very cool to have you here.
Hello!
Yeah. And I love the movie, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I was at Fright Fest in London, and it was sold out, so I didn't see it, and everyone told me it was great. And then I got to see it just, I think about 2 weeks ago in Boston.
Oh, lit. Yes. That's awesome. I'm sorry you missed it the first time, but I'm so happy that you managed to see it somehow down the line. Oh, that's fantastic. What was the Boston audience cool and chill? How was that?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty packed theater. And I'll be honest, there was a couple people who walked out, I think, after the first song, because I think maybe they didn't realize it was a musical for some reason.
Suckers.
But the rest of the people, it was a really fun experience because people even clapped like after the music, and people were laughing, and it really added to the whole enjoyment of the movie.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so nice to hear. It feels like, at least from what friends and family have said to you, that there's a similar kind of vibration in every cinema that comes along with it, because no one's really expecting no one's really knowing what they're jumping into going and seeing it. So yeah, it's always a surprise in some element, I guess.
Yeah. So how about when you actually when you read the script and everything, what did you think of it? Because it is, an odd combination of horror and gore and like traditional musical.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you kind of just go, wow, this is extremely wacky. I've never done anything like this before in my life. I have a lot of respect for exactly that reason. And it would be a mistake to not embark on this project and see what comes of it. So yeah, it's something. It's not necessarily like diving into the unknown. It's more like diving into something with like a good feeling about what it might become later on down the line. So I was very excited to see what it was going to be.
Yeah. So how did you get involved?
I mean, I just auditioned like everyone else. I don't have a very exciting story. I think there's something important to be remembered about what that process is for young actors who are still struggling to get visibility and get out there and represent themselves and the rest of their hardworking friends well. But yeah, there's no exciting dramatic story. I auditioned. I apparently fit the part appropriately. I got a call back. I did another Skype audition because I was in Toronto at the time, and then everything kind of aligned, and then I found myself in Glasgow in December of 2016.
Yeah. Did you have a background in singing?
Yeah, so I went to school. I lived in Scotland for about 7 years. I went to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, and I got a degree in musical theatre there, which was very exciting. Very confusing for all of my friends and family, but I regret nothing. It is everything that I always hoped it was. Glasgow is the greatest city in the world, in my personal humble opinion, and I'm very happy to have kind of made my bones there and to have technically grown up in Glasgow. Made me who I am.
I've never been to Scotland.
You should go!
Yeah.
You should go for the Fringe, or I guess it's like at the Edinburgh Fringe, but it's incredible. I think it's, in terms of arts and culture, they're doing some of the most groundbreaking and diverse theater, visual art, dance. The music there is wild. The food there is like incredible as well, despite what many people might tell you. I think it's one of those places that I think is often seen as the underdog, but is fighting harder and doing better work than a lot of other places in the world.
Yeah, there's people who told me, I went to London for the first time this year, and people told me beforehand that the food wasn't good, and I thought the food was great. I don't think I had a bad meal.
I know. I think it's just like an old perspective on I guess that type of cuisine that people who haven't been there for years don't realize that if you haven't been there, then things may have changed over time as well.
Right. And I'm from New England, so a lot of things are kind of traditional here too, like fish and chips and different things like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, how about I noticed that you're credited as a choreographer. So, explain that to me for the movie.
I also choreographed the dance numbers in the film, which were very fun to do. I was also working as a choreographer during my time in Scotland, mostly and primarily for music videos and stage, and was a part of that kind of community for a long time. And I suppose during the audition process, they were on the hunt for a choreographer. And when the opportunity arose, I just kind of threw my hat in there and said I would love to give it a bash. And also very generously was offered the part or responsibility of choreographing the dance numbers for the film. And it was awesome.
Yeah. So I have a question here from Marley. She wants to know what about the bear claw dance, and where did you discover it?
The bear claw dance? What does that mean? Marley? Oh, God. I'm, like, trying to dig through the recesses of my brain right now to see if this, like, actually has a reference to something that I don't remember anymore, or the bear claw dance.
She originally thought it was a bumblebee dance, but then she realizes that it was the bear claw dance.
Marley, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I forget. If I can offer up any, I guess that I would say, there are things you just draw from in your life, and you make do with the experiences that you have. And I made do with the experiences of my life and morphed them into what eventually became the bear claw dance. That it shall forever be known as, I guess now.
All right then. Well, thank you, Marley, for that question.
I have no idea. Oh, fuck.
So how about the cast itself? Did you guys all bond together? Because there's a lot of chemistry in the movie.
Oh, heck yeah. Like, they're my best friends, man. Like, that was the best experience of my life. Beyond the cast themselves, like, the actual Blazing Griffin, the production company that wrote and created the concept of Anna the Apocalypse, based off of the short film written and directed by Ryan McHenry. They're also incredibly good friends. John McPhail is a brother. Everyone in that in the creation of this project has become like family, and I'm so grateful to know them now. Not only do we make this incredible film that will hopefully last, and people seem to be liking it, and that's more than anyone could have asked for. Within that, we also have created this wonderful community of people that are just inherently supportive and generous, and always there for a laugh and always there to shed light or advice if necessary. Very grateful to have them in my life.
So what was the festival run like, and again, hanging out with the cast?
Even that's been really cool too, because this has been like a new thing for a lot of us. None of us have really done something of this size or complexity before. Ella Hunt, who obviously is the amazing leading actress in Anna and the Apocalypse, has
this is a mouthful.
It is a bit of a mouthful. Yeah. Thank you. Has had so much experience behind her and was such a strong rock for all of us, because she knew exactly how to show up on set, the energy to come into every day, and how to decompress after every day. And she definitely was an inspiration and just an example of how to get through something like the shoot that we did, the 28-day long shoot that was super condensed and super intense. But aside from that, like it's amazing going back and seeing these festivals and seeing how the audience reacts in every single instance, what different cities pick up on certain things. And then along with that, going to these festivals with all your best friends and picking up where you left off and nothing changes. And hopefully it continues to be like that for the rest of our lives, wherever we go, that we can just all see each other and catch up, and nothing's changed.
Yeah. So what was it like to see the movie on the big screen for the first time?
Oh, like mind-blowing, beyond expectation. I cried. We were at the Alamo in Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, I've never been in a cinema where you get like cocktails and fries brought to you. So, like, that itself was such a novelty.
Right.
But yeah, just it's something that we've that changed all of our lives fundamentally. And then a year later, we get to all come back together and watch it for the first time, sitting beside each other and with the energy of a full audience. It was, something you can't compare to anything else. It was the most wild experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
Oof, that's all. That sums it up.
Yeah. So it had, a festival run for over a year, and now it's got, a wide release. So what's that experience like, and what's the response been from people now that more people can see it?
It's a day by day thing, right? My life hasn't changed very much. I work in the same cafe. I love my coffee job. I've got a few more Instagram followers, which is interesting. But honestly, like, other than a lot of appreciation from people reaching out and being very moved or congratulatory, which is wonderful to get, and it's a beautiful boost to your day. It's a day by day thing, and we're just seeing where it goes and hoping that it reaches the right people and the right fans, and they develop their own enjoyment out of it. And it's the people that watch it who carry it farther. We've done our bit. We've cast it into the wind, and now it's everybody else's opportunity to come and enjoy it and do what they want with it and let it be theirs. So, yeah.
Well, what interested you about the character, and how close are you to the character stuff?
I think that she's remarkable, and I'm super grateful to have played Steph. I think it is extremely important that there are queer characters in cinema whose main focal point as a character isn't their LGBTQ identity. It's just that they are a part of a very contemporary community that accepts and understands that they are human being amongst other human beings and get by with the same hopes and fears and whims as everybody else. And not once is her queerness a defining part of her character, or is it used to make fun of her or to bully her, to ostracize her. She's made fun of because she's unusually ambitious and has an unusual level of empathy for bigger problems than the rest of her friends and peers who are concerned with their escaping from their hometowns and their families and moving into the real world and what their further education will be. So I'm super proud to have played her. I'm super grateful that I can continue to advocate for more roles like that, and I'm very hungry to play more roles like that. So there's a balance in LGBTQ representation in characters on film and in scripts and on stage and in TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree exactly what you said. It's not, it's you just say she is gay. It doesn't, it's not the whole character. And that's really what, what it should be. I mean, why care one way or the other?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, I think in terms of the trope of the character as well too, there's on page an angle of it where she could be kind of like the quintessential, angry, lesbian, strong, aggressive. And it's no, when we were teenagers and I was a teenager and I was queer, I was weird as fuck. I was so anxious. I was so geeky. I said all the wrong things, constantly afraid of feeling uncomfortable in my skin and trying to figure out who that was on a day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute basis. And that's a better representation of someone struggling with that and trying to find their voice than someone who is intentionally defiant and antagonistic. Because at the end of the day, what she wants is to belong. She's been pushed away by her family and pushed away by her friends. To continue to push other people away is probably not in what she needs at the end of the day. She needs to feel included and loved.
Mm-hmm. And I liked about the movie, it does have a little bit of a Lord of the Flies kind of element, because the kind of the jock characters, they're they enjoy going to kill the zombies, Nick and his guys, and then you have more the intellectuals or the artsy people that are trying to survive and think in a different way. So I like that element of the movie.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good balance of classic tropes and set them up as we have traditionally seen them in literature and in film before, and then as they are facing these unusually violent and apocalyptic circumstances, their true personas come out. they become the image of the adults they will soon be in the future. And they have to kind of find the elements of their real personality that ground them and allow them to get by and survive, which is an interesting thing to explore in in a musical.
Yeah, that's very true. And about that kind of like the true person, since it's Apocalypse, I really like Paul Kaye's character, the teacher, because now he's got no repercussions. He could, pretty much act how he wants to. What was he like to work with? Because he seems very fun.
Great. He's great. I mean, he has so much experience. He has so much stage experience too. He is constantly bouncing off ideas and being like, why don't we try this? And had a fully fleshed out concept of like what he wanted the character to be even before the first reading. Choreographing him was an absolute treat. We just like got together and I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but like got together in the space where his number is and just like saw what was in the environment, what we could play with, what we could kick around, ask health and safety if certain things were okay. And just kind of let loose. But he is remarkable and super cool, and I'm so grateful to have met him and worked with him because he was just, an absolute laugh and a good friend.
Yeah. Do you have to act differently when you're doing the more like musical parts of the movie as opposed to like the more dramatic and horror elements? No,
I don't think so. I think it all comes from a point of truth, right? Like it's all same thing with like comedy. If it doesn't come from a place of truth, then it doesn't look believable and it's not as relatable and it doesn't land as well. The beats don't land as well. And that timing and that rhythm and that self-awareness goes into every single sense of performance. You just be honest and genuine, no matter what the circumstances or what the style that you're playing towards is. And hopefully, not hopefully, but the hope is that the truth of the character shines through. The story, you propel the story before trying to justify getting jokes or land jokes. You propel the character before you want to get a laugh. And that was something John wanted from us deeply as a cast, and that's something that we're all able to provide one another because we were so supportive. Just wanting to play around and play as each other's characters in the same place.
Which is more physically demanding, the dance scenes or battling zombies?
Oh man, I mean they're both hard in different ways. I think it's just demanding because it's juggling. Because you gotta, and in so many sequences, it's everything at once, right? So you're fighting and you're dancing, and you're also singing, and then you're also showing extraordinary levels of emotion because of how dire the circumstances are. So I don't think necessarily one is more exhausting or tiring. I do think because it was the first time a lot of us did fight choreography, and our incredible fight choreographer, Emma Claire Brightland, worked with us a lot about owning your weapon, treating your weapon, even though it's a foam weapon, like it could actually kill someone, because the second that you start seeing it as a foam weapon or a fake weapon, then the rest of the audience will see it as that too. So you always have to carry it with an element of dignity and fear. And then another thing that we all learned about for the first time doing this film was like angles, and like how do you hit the angle so it appears like you're actually stabbing someone, and how do you give that bounce off of someone's head to make it look like the impact was strong even though you barely even got close to them. So I mean that's a life skill that we'll have for the rest of our lives now. Super cool.
Do you think like your background in dancing, choreography actually helped with that? With learning, how to do the fight scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I think just body awareness is always helpful. And I mean, which was so great about working with Emma Claire Brightland, and because there were a couple of sequences that were a combination of both movement, like dance movement and fight movement, that we could blend our techniques together and our skills together and our backgrounds together and add a bit of nuance to what would normally just be a jab, or turn a spin into like a setup for like a giant bludgeoning against the head. So it was a lot of fun to play around and try something new for the first time, but I hope that it's all paid off.
Definitely. I loved it. So are you a horror movie fan?
I mean, yeah, I am very scared of many things. It depends what it is, but yeah, I would say I am. I need to be ready to watch a horror film though. It
Uh-huh.
needs to be like, I can't walk into like a party and they're all like, we're gonna watch this, and it's like the scariest film of 2018. I'm like, I wasn't prepared for this.
Did you watch anything to prepare for the movie, like any zombie movies or any musicals?
I mean, I've always been a fan of musicals, so I've got that. I did watch a lot of The Walking Dead, just because I also worked with John McPhail on the movement of the zombies for the film, and just doing a bit of more research about like what kind of zombies are they? Do they move fast? Do they move slow? Like what's like the reason for this infection? What's it affecting the most? How are they decomposing? What are they most hungry for? So and then turning that into some sort of dialogue or movement language that you can then teach to anybody that can pick it up and have a fun time with it and just make their own zombie. I feel like they get the reward out of doing that as much as they do in some of the harshest climates in the world, standing around the cold in Scotland for a long time. So
Right. So when you did research, you preferred the shambling zombies over the running zombies?
I mean, I guess if it's slower, you can pick out more detail.
Uh-huh.
Not necessarily. I think they were definitely an interesting combo of fast zombies and slow zombies in the film. I think that probably has a lot more to do with like the level of decay that they were at that point. Like some were probably a bit faster because they were just newly infected, and some were a lot slower because they were losing control over parts of their limbs or their brains were slowing down. So I don't think I prefer either because both sound horrible.
Right.
I wouldn't like either of those things.
Probably not a good time.
No zombies
Right.
is my
Right.
answer.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good stance to take. I do not want to become a zombie.
Yeah. I'm a survivalist.
So, what were some of your favorite musicals, or what are some of your favorite musicals?
Oh my God. So what are my favorite musicals? I grew up. Well, I love the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I love that show so much. I want to be in that show more than anything else in the world. Have you listened to it or seen it?
I'm not familiar with that.
It's William Finn. It's fantastic. I'm trying to think of the ones that I did. I did Little Shop of Horrors in school, which was a blast.
I love Little. That was the first live play I went to when I was like 16.
Nice.
It was amazing.
There's nothing better than a puppet on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Emanating puppet on stage.
Yeah. Dom DeLuise was in the production I saw.
Oh wow,
It's very
nice.
cool.
And there's a lot to do. And like City of Angels is a good one that I don't think gets done very often. What other musicals are badass? There's many. There's so many. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. I like Sweeney Todd for horror.
Todd,
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's Eddie Sondheim Company. That's an incredible musical. That's be Company one day. That's a fantastic show. Lots of great things out there. Into the Woods, great one. It's a bit of an obvious choice. Everyone likes Into the Woods. But
a couple years ago, this is a small production in Boston. They had Silence the Musical, and it was a musical version of Silence of the Lambs. And
no! How was that?
It was amazing.
Oh
It was hilarious, and they had like really great singers, and they were singing just like all the lyrics were just ridiculous, but it really made it great because they were really giving it singing it with their all, these silly lyrics, which it was a really great experience.
Was it like so it was like a farce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that sounds so intense. That's awful. No, that's okay. That's fun. Yeah, there's like an Evil Dead musical now. That sounds. I haven't seen it, but everyone raves about it. I'd love to go see that at some point.
Yeah, I've not seen it either, but yeah, I would definitely like to see it.
There's a couple we just saw. Where else did we see? We were in New York, and we met the cast of Be More Chill, who are like literally the chillest people on the planet. That show, I haven't seen it. We listened to the music from it. I would die to see that at some point when it starts doing its thing in New York again. So I'm probably going to fly down and go watch that. But yeah, musicals are great.
Yeah. Have you performed in many?
Yeah, I had a good go at it, considering, that's what we did most of our time with in school. Mm-hmm. I was lucky afterwards to do more stage plays that incorporated music and movement as other functions of storytelling or storytelling mechanisms within the production. So got to still exercise those three skills at the same time in the same, I guess on the same stage, but just in a less obvious way. And I think I prefer that side of the stage a bit more than classic musical theater. Trying to be a bit more clever about the integration of those three things than the necessity of the three things to define what the genre is. But yeah, I've had my time.
Yeah. So which love came first, like dancing or music or acting, or is it kind of all the same?
Yeah, I mean, I started dancing when I was 3, so that was like, do we put our kid in hockey or do we put our kid in ballet kind of thing. As a Canadian.
Right.
It's like literally that. And my parents were like, well, put the son in hockey and we'll put her in ballet because he needs to toughen up and she's too aggressive. So like that's what it ended up being. It's just that I did it for years. I ended up really falling out of love with it when I was a teenager, as anyone does, I think, at that point, if they're kind of forced into that by their parents. I'm very grateful they made me keep doing it until I was well into my late teens, until I just was old enough to be like, I'm done. And then entirely rediscovered my passion for it when I moved to Scotland. But I think they all go hand in hand. I think if you enjoy performance and if you enjoy storytelling or expressing anything on stage for an audience to another person, then one may find themselves finding similar interests in those gently opposing fields.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's the difference between performing on stage and you doing a movie? Because you have the live interaction or the live. It's just different. Subtlety versus I wouldn't say being unsubtle, just understanding how to convey subtle emotions in a sense that everybody understands. It's just a different type of performance technique. I even feel like calling it technique cheapens what it is, but it's understanding who the audience is and what you need to give to them and what you need to give to your actors and how the pacing works. I think pace is a massive difference between film and stage. It's very awesome. It's awesome to be able to do both, and I'm super grateful to have had opportunities in both fields. I don't think I prefer either or. I miss stage. I haven't done it in a while. Hopefully get back to that soon at some point. But I definitely enjoy doing them both for very, very different reasons. Yeah. So how long was it from when you filmed Anne on the Apocalypse till it was finished and you were able to see the finished movie?
It's been about filming and then actually seeing it, I think was almost a year, a year and a half maybe. And now it's been about 2 years. It's been actually 2 years. I think today Alan McDonald, the writer, just messaged us saying today was the 2-year anniversary of the first read-through. Oh, so, well timed. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see it? Did you see it at all before it was finished? Like, since you're the choreographer, did they ask you like when they're editing it or anything? Did you see?
No, actually, I just had opinions and I made them. I just thought this would be good if it was like this. So I saw early cuts while we were shooting, while we were still shooting of the bigger dance sequences, which was great. But ultimately, it was just a big surprise still. And I kind of like that. It's nice. Just throw it up. I did my bit, throw it away. Someone else's skill now, amazing Mark, who's the amazing editor of the film. It's now his responsibility to sparkle it with his, his own personal style of magic. And then it became what it became. So
yeah. Was the finished movie any different than you envisioned it while you're filming it?
No, it was better. It was. I mean, I don't know what I could have possibly imagined it being, but it just was better than I could have ever imagined it being. And it was already amazing in my head, and then I saw it, and it was even more amazing.
Yeah. Lauren on Twitter wants to know: Did you have any favorite improv lines or moments in the movie?
There were a few, actually. That was also, which is nice about John McPhail and also Alan as the writer, is that they're both very collaborative. Alan is remarkable because you could go to him at any point and be like, I feel like my character would do this. And you consider it, and sometimes he'd be like, I think that's a great idea. Or sometimes he'd be like, no. But John was very open to improvised lines or just tacking little moments into scenes that weren't necessarily highlighted or detailed in the script. There was the Boom Saved Your Life was improvised at the end. And it was either going to be that or Get and Losers Were Going Shopping from Mean Girls. But we didn't know if we'd get in trouble for that. So we opted for the OG one, for the original one.
Yeah, that totally worked. Do you know if there's any talk or chance of a sequel?
No, I don't think there's going to be a sequel. I don't know. I don't think that would be. I don't know. But there is possible talks of a stage production. But again, I don't know. I have no idea. So we shall see what time tells. Yeah.
That's interesting you said that because when I was in London, my friend Nicholas Vince, who's from Hellraiser movies, he was was ecstatic about the movie. Told me I have to see it, and he said it would be good, a good play like that kids could do in school or like a stage production.
Yeah, so I think so too. So hopefully that gets turned into that kind of thing. There'd be more songs, there'd be different scenes. Obviously the same characters. It'd be interesting to see how to adapt the undead on the stage. Do they dance on stage for the first time? Do we stick to the film and don't do that? Like, what does the stage show become and what makes it different than the actual film? So, yeah, that's cool. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. Was there any, when you were doing for the zombies, was there ever a time that they were going to dance?
No. I think it was, like, eradicated pretty early on that, like, they weren't going to dance. I think, because at the end of the day, the story's about the kids and it's about them and about their relationship. And more than anything, like, this film has more of a Breakfast Club vibe than it does anything else. And we wanted their relationships to shine through and their growth and making the undead do a cleverly integrated boogie, I think, would cheapen the emotional growth of the characters.
I agree.
It's already so crazy. And also it takes away from, the nature of the lessons in the story and the lessons that the characters experience. And if it's already insane, and to add more insanity by making the zombies dance, I think would just, there'd be a complete element missing.
Yeah. And all the, all the characters are likable and you're mostly attached to them, which does make it, when something bad happens to somebody, if they get killed or turn into a zombie or whatever, it's much more emotional because you're into the characters.
Totally. Yeah. We're super, and all that comes from John's great direction, from Alan's great writing, from Ryan's original incredible idea, from the amazing producers setting up a loving and supportive environment, and from magically casting like 6 kids who all just randomly became best friends. I mean, not randomly, like maybe they knew. But yeah, it's a lot of things that played to ensure that that exact thing landed, and those beats landed.
So what, do you have anything in the works now? Anything coming up?
I'm off to LA in January to just like throw caution to the wind and see what happens.
That's cool.
But other than that, I'm just like rolling with the punches and seeing what opportunities roll my way, making opportunities for myself, and DIY style.
Very good. Do you have a social media that people can follow you?
Yes, you can follow me on my Instagram and on my Twitter, but it's just my name, Sarah Swire. I was the first Sarah Swire on the internet, which is a blessing and a curse. So,
so that's easy to find, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. It's been very fun to talk to you.
It's been fun talking to you too. Thank you for dealing with my Toronto transport delay.
Oh, that's fine. It's fine. Oh, but by the way, if I go back to Toronto sometime, what would you recommend places to eat?
Oh, don't. I'm so okay. Oh my God. Oh no, this is so tricky. Because like I like food, but like I like beer more. I can like. Are you into craft beer?
Yes, yeah. I'm not like into like Coors or Mill, that kind of stuff, but I do like craft beers. Yeah.
Okay, there's a great a lot of Toronto-based breweries that don't get outside of Toronto. There's and like the beers you can't get them anywhere else in the world. There's there's Blood Brothers Brewery. That place is lit. There's Bellwoods Brewery. That place is also lit. That's also an amazing restaurant. There's a street called Dundas West, and I guarantee if you just walk down that street, you're gonna like go into some of the craziest bars and restaurants that you've ever seen in your entire life. So just go to Dundas West. It's fun.
All right, very good. I'll take that note.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. This has been great.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. That was such a nice afternoon.
Hi, this is Patricia Tallman. I was on Babylon 5 and a little movie called Night of the Living Dead, and you're listening to Without Your Head.